too.
I'll call the meeting to order. I'll start with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good time. Maybe we can be louder next time.
All right.
Roll call.
Here. Here.
Here.
Rich is not here. John Holder.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
I call myself Christine Powell.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mockler Ditch. What do you want to know about that?
I think that's all you.
Mike took some pictures.
These mics.
Didn't you?
I sent some pictures.
I ran down there yesterday morning real quick. Did some dirt in and piled it up along the bank. But I think we wanted it on the agenda to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just assuming he's done what you might say a start to the project.
Yeah, we did give him a year, so
Yes, he started.
he got it started.
So
I did
I'm
not-
just wondering, because this is how some projects have went that I'm aware of. Not through the Drainage Board, but years and years ago we put these things in our field through it was a cost share, and it was with Soil and Water, I think, called Wascobs or something. And they used to come out, the designer, and leave us with stakes to follow to say that's how high we put the dirt all along things. Is that something that he might be needing, is what I'm wondering. But we need to communicate with him on his idea, because as soon as he was done putting parking bumpers worth of dirt up there, he plowed, and that was, to me, saying that was all he was going to do this spring.
If you would like, we can give him a call and ask him what his plan is, and I can go reshoot the piles next week if you want to.
He called me a couple weeks ago, and he said he's done. He said, when the surveyor, if the surveyor comes out to take measurements, he would really like to do that.
We will call him and find out what's going on, if you want to do that.
Well, I'm going to suggest do it after planting season. This one? Oh,
Sorry. Let me help you out.
I will call him and find out what's going on, and then we'll report back next month.
yeah, ask him what a good time is for him.
That's no
I
problem.
will get it. Because I thought it looked like a start to the project. The Webster Ditch.
Okay, this was one that we had discussed on Nancy Malone
Oh, all right.
property. There's a 1-foot dam in that ditch that the property owner says she has a permit from the Army Corps for.
Right. It's probably taller than a foot, but I would like it if we got some documentation of her permit and tell her if she can't come up with any documentation that we're going to tear out the log jam that's there, because that's not a structure that's put in. And I'm really afraid this could turn into another Bernanke deal.
Right.
I mean, there's farmers upstream that this is really hurting right now. It's really flat right in that area. And I really wonder why the Army Corps would put us in this position to now have to stand up to upstream landowners and come up with some excuse of why she got to hold water up on her neighbors. Because it's by far the wrong thing to do for the guys upstream.
So at this point, the request is from her a copy of any Army Corps permit that she allegedly got, so you can see what's in that,
Yeah.
giving her
Look for it to
authorization.
come from the attorney's office.
Okay. At the board's discretion, we could either do that through the surveyor or through our office, either way.
All right,
I would just need her contact information, which I can get from Mike or Christine.
all right.
Who's the owner of the dam?
Nancy Malone.
Nancy?
Yeah. I think the claim is that raises the water in a pond by her house.
That sounds right.
So we need to get to the bottom of that and try to relieve the pressure for the guys upstream. It's probably too late for this year, but we gotta not let a Bernanke deal get festered while I'm on board or I'm jumping. If this is something we can't knock down, there's no reason to have a drainage board in my eyes. This is ridiculous.
Do we need,
I can't imagine she got a permit. If anything, she should put a structure, and if she had a permit, there's no structure there.
it's just logs?
Yeah.
Do we need a motion or
Strategically
anything for
perfect
that?
under her bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be by motion. I mean, it's just the direction of the board to have me send a request to her to get a copy of her permit, and ideally we have that for the next meeting. If not, if she's not able to produce a permit, then the board may choose to take action in June.
All right. On this same thing, and being an assessed drain, that would be the McKellips, maybe? Is there any way we can address the Ladon landowners there, what their assessment is for?
Yeah, actually, I was going to bring that up. Mike sent me an email. He got I think the guy came in the office and wanted to know about this parcel. So I looked this parcel up. This parcel is not in the McKellips watershed at all, and it is not being assessed for the McKellips at all.
Where's the McKellips end?
Here is the McKellips watershed. This parcel is not even in that watershed. The only reason he's probably looking at this legal description down here where it says the McKellips ditch, at one point in time, this was probably 15 years ago, when Barb Dean was a clerk in the real estate office when we were in the courthouse, she decided she thought it might be a good idea, which turns out was not that great of an idea, to put, when people were in a watershed, to put that in this legal description. Problem is, I think what happened with this was a bigger piece, and some of it was in the watershed. It got split off. This was the number that was retained. This piece is no longer in the McKellips watershed, but that wording stayed in the description. I think that's what happened, because I looked. This is not, when I looked up in the tax software, because I have access to that.
Is that a Ladon that came to see you?
He might talk to him.
There were so many.
He's not sure because we were swamped.
I can't make heads or tails out of that. But you say that's-
He's going to be here. He's going to be right here on this parcel. Will be right here. This yellow border is the watershed. So this parcel is not in the watershed, and he's not paying anything into the McKellips. He's getting charged $48 a year for solid waste. So if he sees special assessment on his bill, it's for solid waste, and it should be $48 because I looked his bill up. So he's not paying anything. If you want to have, yeah, that's right here. If you want to take this and give it to him, you can.
No, just tell him what's up.
So tell him if he sees $48, it's for $48 for solid waste, and there's nothing going into the McKellips on his bill.
All right.
Because I looked it up.
So Webster then, it'll turn all these on. Webster then has 2 feeds into it right before Ladon's. Mm-hmm. One comes in from the north and one comes in from the west.
Okay, yeah, that's probably here. That's part of the Webster. The Webster's not being assessed.
So do those 2 that feed it have a different name, or is one of them the Webster and the other one's the McKellips?
I think that's the Webster. What we call the McKellips is this in the dark blue, and then Webster is going to be here. So like this would be the Webster, and then the dark blue will be the McKellips, and then the watershed for the McKellips is in yellow. You can give them that if you
There
want.
is. This is the Webster. This is the McKellips. And see, it's a fine line between those two.
Yeah, it's right on the
North is
border.
like that, though.
So is this still part of one of that?
North is like that.
You can take that.
There is a
But this is the blockage, the 1 foot dam that they're talking
You
about.
guys, it's probably scrap paper too,
So
right?
until we find out if she has
Yeah, you can take that.
a legal document.
Anything
about
else
that
on the
dam.
Webster ditch?
Nope.
Do we still need, do we wanna,
Hey, step up to the mic, dude.
Mike, step up to the mic.
do we wanna scout that still, or do we wanna wait and see what we get back paperwork wise?
I feel like if she has some permit, we're gonna get in trouble if we do anything.
So we'll just send the letter, wait and see what comes back and go from there?
Do you agree with
You
that?
better wait, see if she has something.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a good structure. Meaning what's there will eventually fall apart on her. But I just hate to think that she's telling the truth, that there's...
If I remember right, and this is, I'm going by recollection, I've talked to so many people in the last 2 weeks, but I think she said that it only holds back water for like 250 feet, which I haven't seen it in person, so I don't know that. You may know. You may have a better idea of how much water it's holding
larger than
back.
a foot now. It's closer to 2 foot that it's holding up.
And that could be, it could be maybe taller than what it was when it was put in because it's catching debris, floating down.
Yeah. Or having a little help.
So if she does not have the paperwork, are we going to go ahead and have somebody pull that out?
We need to get it out, but it's an unassessed ditch. So there's no money in the funds.
But we could grant somebody use of the easement, right?
Yeah, but we can't pay them. There's no assessment on the Webster.
Well, I'm sure we can get a couple farmers to pay to remove the dam.
Yeah, you have to give permission to use the...
So 75-foot easement.
You have the easement, so Mike was asking whether, because this board only meets once a month, that's a long lag time to try to get something like this addressed. I mean, certainly send a letter to her. I can even, within that letter, notify her that the surveyor's office is going to be on site to take pictures for the board. I think you'd want that information June at your meeting to be able to move forward with something one way or another.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to wait for a letter and then find out, okay, whether she has a permit, and then we're sitting here a month later asking Mike or Christine to go out and visit the property. I think we need to get that all moving.
I feel it's probably too late for planting season now. I mean, it's so underway. June's going to click right into July before we can get out there.
If we need to do so.
Yeah, but I think we ought to say, let's get going and tell her we need the permits ASAP. Need a copy of whatever she got that approved that. Find out if it's legit.
So it has been scouted once, because someone reported it to you?
I haven't looked at it because
Okay.
they were cleaning the ditch south, and I'm like, well, what good's that going to do if there's a blockage?
Right, okay, so we do have eyes on it, our chairman
Yeah.
has eyes on it, so I guess we'll just wait, see what we get back and go from there.
Yeah, I just feel like we could really be in trouble if she does actually have a permit. So we need to get that figured out first. I think that's an important way to go about it. That's all I got.
Sounds good to me.
Brad, your attorney reports?
I have no attorney report.
Right. Tony, a surveyor's report.
Short and sweet. The Kankakee River Basin Commission bill was passed and signed by the governor. We'll leave it up to the council and their remedy of funding, but LaPorte will have a funding of approximately $750,000 since we are the greatest landowner in the watershed. And there will be a new Kankakee River Basin Commission, whatever they're going to call it, I believe on July 1. So we'll see what happens. That's good news that everything moved forward, and we might actually start getting something done in Kankakee in a preventative measure.
Is that 750 over 2 years?
I believe that's $750,000 every year.
All right.
But that won't be collected or council decided on until 2021, I believe. They give us a year. But the governor and the legislators, thanks to Senator Bohacek and Representative Pressel and everyone else, we got $2.3 million this year to do some work. So we are not going to spin our wheels for a year. We actually have a year, and then the funding will start in 2021. So
That's a blessing.
we're ready, or maybe 2020. We have 1 year lag time, but we have money. So good news down south, especially with all the rain.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Just a quick question on that, and maybe you don't know the answer to this yet. How proactive should this board be with those funds coming in to make sure that they're being utilized and then still continuing in the future?
That's a good question that we are asking with Stark County. How do we make sure we spend that $2.3 million and the money that's in the bank right now, the KRC, on projects we can do right now? We don't want to wait till 2020 or 2021. We want projects done. We want that river and the Yellow River working well. So we're working in concert with Stark County as close as we can to get working projects, and Scott Pelaf, to make sure we have working projects this year. With the money we have and the money that we're going to get, and then the funding that's going to come in the future, then we want to be on board. Now this board, that's a strange question, because this board loses jurisdiction on the Kankakee unless it's an emergency. And then we have jurisdiction, which we have anyways. So this board, I guess we need to work in concert, and I need to bring some sort of plan on what we want as surveyor's office, and maybe what this board would get behind, so we have some sort of influence on this new board to say, this is where we expect LaPorte County to be 2020, 2021 in the next 10 or 15 years. This is what we want. And so everyone says, first is best, so we get our desires put up there first and what projects we want up there first, and we'll let the other 7 counties discuss the funding that we have. It's a good question. We're working on it. Well, we got projects and we want stuff done. Thanks.
I got a question on that assessment. I was talking to some board members from Stark County, and they thought that they had to go through a public hearing in order for that assessment to take effect.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 public hearings that are mandated. But the assessment has variable, from what I read, you have variable choices. The council can impose the assessment. The council can say, we are just going to pay 80% of it with the funds we have. And I don't remember if it was left in the bill. There was another caveat. If they don't do either one, then the governor or the state will take the money out of our tax collections and pay the money whether we pay it or not. So you have 2, I thought there was 2 public outreaches in each county, and then the council or the commissioners have to decide, do we want to pay it? Do we want to impose the assessment? Or are we just going to let it sit here and the state will take it? So one way or another, there's $750,000 or 80% of that we have to come up with. And every county, every one of the 8 counties has to do the same thing, just for the Kankakee or the Yellow River. So I guess we're going to see when these public outreach meetings start up, but I presume they'll start up after the board meets in July 1, start scheduling. That's why they gave it the year lag time.
Thank you.
Any old business? Any new business?
We have RQAW here for the Norris ditch. This just came up yesterday. He came into my office and I told him to try to get here today with his plans so that he wasn't held back for a month. So it was kind of short notice, so he didn't make it on the agenda.
Yeah, so my name is Jake Manzo. RQAW would like to submit the application to work within Norris Ditch boundaries in Michigan City. We are putting together a project to extend some sanitary sewers and some water mains. In addition to the application, we have a full plan set of the project. a letter summarizing the work that we're going to be doing and an exhibit highlighting the specific crossings of Norris Ditch. The ditch basically will just involve some limited open trench within the outer boundaries so we can horizontal directional drill under the ditch, not actually affecting it. And there will be one section where we will be open trenching parallel to the ditch but not in the ditch.
Did you bring your plans and
Yes,
stuff?
so I
to
brought
submit?
everything needed.
So I presume this is just a request for cross our ditch like any other utility or county. So the board would have to approve of them crossing the ditch with the home harmless, which we normally do, and they replace it back like it was and don't affect the flow of our ditch. Just that he couldn't make an agenda, so if we can get him that approval for the work in our easement, he can keep moving forward.
Correct.
I think as long as he gives you guys the plans and you guys have direction for him of how to leave the banks when he's done and hold harmless, what more do we need?
Just to make sure he's deep enough underneath the water.
Yep, we will be remaining the minimum 5 feet distance under all surface ground, including the bottom of the ditch. We will contact you guys once the project begins. Currently, there's some issues going on Michigan City's end where the project might be delayed a little bit, but we are still moving forward on our end as the engineers to get the project designed, so whenever they do have the money and they continue forward, it'll be ready.
Are you notifying the underlying property owners or affected property owners?
Yeah, we've already notified everyone. They've been given price ranges to acquire some easement from them, and that will be submitted and taken care of once the project's good to go.
Do you have an approximation of the amount of land disturbance, such as is it equal to or greater to 1 acre?
I believe it will be greater than 1 acre for sure. As a whole, yes, definitely. Just over the ditch sections, I would probably assume yes, but probably barely.
So do you have any plans to submit a Rule 5 plan to the county MS4?
Yes, so we have submitted a Rule 5. We are waiting approval. We can provide the permits to you guys. We're just waiting on IDEM to get back to us, as well as Michigan City's sanitary construction permit and IDEM's water main extension permit.
Thank you.
I'm assuming this is on a public drain.
Yeah.
It is a regulated drain without an assessment. You said you're going underneath the ditch?
Yes, we will be going underneath the ditch.
What was
and
the...
We'll just be open trenching on the outer legal boundaries, so we can get receiving and sending.
Did you have a depth? Top of your head, it's in the plans, so probably.
Yeah, the plans will show all of the exact locations. We will just be maintaining the minimum 5 feet depth
5
under
foot. Yeah.
all of
Because you
elevations.
only crossed it in 2 places, I think, from when we talked yesterday.
Yeah, so the water main will be crossing it 3 times, and the sanitary will only be crossing it twice.
Oh. Sanitary twice and the water 3 times.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, motion approved pending our review of their plans for the correct depth of the bottom of our ditch.
So moved.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any other new business? Claims? Do you got claims?
I have one claim from Bailey Excavating for the county line ditch. He cleaned that ditch and had to lower an existing culvert, so his total bill is $10,889, and it has been inspected. Looks great, haven't got any complaints, and there's money in it.
A motion to approve the claims?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then I would
Motion
like to, on the county line ditch, get a motion from the board to let me put out for bid in the fall that they want to clean from the railroad going north to 50 North. And it's 1,412 feet. So if I could get a motion, and we won't do it till this fall, but I figured since we're on the topic, we could just cover it and then get that started so they're not starting too late.
And there'll be enough money, enough funds there?
Yeah, there'll be enough money in there because we have $63,000 after paying Bailey. So, and we get money from St. Joe. They send that over here. So
Okay.
we'll have it.
I'll make that motion then, to continue it on for fall.
I'll second it.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Joint board reports, anything?
All I have is the KRVC, that's all we have.
MS4 reports?
Okay, Rice O'Hara ditch, I have a second report of beavers spotted. That's where we took out Beaver Dam and there was the muck fire. But I don't see them, I don't think they've rebuilt the dam, but I think in light of 2 reports of seeing them that we can expect that there's going to be another beaver dam in the future. And then, next time we ought to send a trapper out before we pull that out. So Sarah and I inspected that site. We didn't see any smoke, but we smelled burning, and the resident that's near the perimeter that was dug out had, at first we thought the fire started burning again and spread. We kept going and we kept seeing burnt stuff and smelling it. Well, he was just doing ground clearing and he was burning it. So I don't know. Sarah and I were there and inspected it. Do you have anything to add?
No, we couldn't see any fire, but there was definitely smoke there. Not from what he was doing, but in the earth where the fire was.
All right.
But that perimeter drain is there, and it will fill with water, and it may put it out. In addition to that, Garden Estates, which is in our urban drain system, so it is regulated and under our jurisdiction. I had a complaint of one of the parcels where there was a 4x4 incident. They were driving through the channel, and now there's mud clogging the culverts and backing up water. I discussed that with Christine, and I called the complainant back and asked him to file a police report and get that to us. I took 2 pictures. There's only one here. I think I duplicated it, and that's why the second one's not on here, but I can pass it down. The culvert's blocked on both sides. It's not on the road. It's not affecting any other infrastructure yet. It'll probably be more of an inconvenience to that resident more than anything else, at least for the time being, with mosquitoes and whatnot. I inspected the rest of the area.
I have to excuse myself for a few minutes.
And some of the drains were good, and okay. Some of the drains were good, and some of it had debris. Overall, I think the place was in better condition than what it has been in the past. So if the board has any requested action, we could do that, or we could wait and see if we get a police report, or whatever you guys want to do.
I'd like to see you cut the top of the culvert out so that the debris didn't get caught on it.
Lastly, Hudson Lake. The drain keeps getting clogged. I keep going out and unclogging it. And in addition to that, I want to point out that the newly elected Hudson Township trustee and a deputy is with us today in the audience. And in fact, the deputy on last Saturday, I think if it wasn't for you, I don't know if I would have got that unclogged that day. So thank you for that. It's flowing good as of today. There was some debris caught in the inlet, and we got it.
How open is it now?
It's full on.
Next week, we're going to take the big manhole off and send Mike down on a rope.
I won't be there to watch.
Yeah.
We do need to go back out to 800 and between 425 and 500 because it did flood here not long ago. So maybe we should go back up and see if the beavers are back at it up there on top of the hill.
And where was that at again? That's 800
800 north between 425 east and 500 east. It was flooding that road again.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep.
Remember how we went back up the hill and all the beavers were back there?
Yep, and we met with the landowner and they were gonna take care of that.
So we might want to have to check that again because it was starting to flood again.
Okay, all right. Let me know when. I think you and Sarah both want to get together so, we can coordinate and put that and a couple other things on a route and
I
check
don't
it
know
out.
if I have to get a hold of the landowner again to go back up there or if we can just do that or...
We probably would because I don't think that is regulated through Drainage Board, so we don't have an easement. And if I remember correctly how we left it, we kind of did the introduction. We put the landowner together with the
County.
the highway department, the bridge foreman,
Yep.
and I guess they worked it out because I haven't heard anything again until now. But maybe
last week there was water over the road again.
Okay, all right. So the beavers are back.
Such a big rainfall.
I'm afraid there was a lot of beavers up there the last time we looked, and if he hasn't been taking care of it, I have a feeling that they could be damming back up there.
All right. That's all I have for now.
You're on the meeting, Steve. Oh yeah. Any other new business? Nothing else?
Nope.
Anybody from out in the audience have anything else to say? I guess meeting adjourned.